We live in a world where self is the most important, where day-to-day life is spent indulging in the impulses of our heart, where the highest purpose is to carefully build a meaningful life that one day you can hopefully look back on and find some sense of satisfaction. It's a life built around self and self-purpose. But Jesus taught something radically different. He taught that if you spend your life living for a higher purpose, then everything else will figure itself out. As it says in 1 Peter chapter 4, "Arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, the mind of Christ, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lusts of men, but to the will of God." When Peter says, "Arm yourselves with the same mind," he's calling us to adopt Jesus' mindset. A mindset where he was willing to lay down personal desires in order to live for God's will. That doesn't mean that our lives become empty or sad. It means that they become aligned with meaning, and aligned with something that lasts far beyond us. Living for the will of God shifts our priorities. Our decisions, our words, and our relationships are no longer driven by impulse, but by purpose. And paradoxically, it's when we stop living for ourselves that life begins to make sense. Once we align our lives with God's will, we suddenly have a purpose in life beyond feeling satisfied on our deathbeds. Matthew chapter 6 says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you." Now that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll be given a comfortable life and riches in abundance, but it does mean that if we focus on living a life for God's purpose, then the necessities will figure themselves out. Instead of living a life for a sense of self-purpose, we now have a God-given purpose. And that purpose is far better. It encompasses more people than ourselves. It involves a world filled with God's glory and character. And so if we live for that purpose now, then we can have a part in that future to come.